Drunkfish Gaming.
Hello and welcome to Drunkfish Gaming. I'm Fighting Drunk,
And I'm Lord Jim the Fish.
and today we're going to talk to you about the human faction.
Yes, so we're going to start with what could be Cruella or Cruel. Generally quite cruel. So yeah, this is a very funky looking character. Interesting dress.
Came out over Halloween.
Yeah. Yeah. So first, ability, Healing Darkness. So deals 255% of magical damage to an enemy. If an enemy is a demon, heals herself and summon reflections for 70% of the damage dealt. So yeah, you want to be bringing her against those demons and completely destroy them. So next one is I Am the Knight.
Enthusiasm, please.
I am the knight!
That's better.
Yes, very angry. I am the knight. So deals 330% magic damage to an enemy. If an enemy is a defender, he gains invisibility for 2 turns.
Interestingly, they've said defender and not tank on this one.
Yes. So again, inconsistencies. And said he gain invisibility as a defender. He gain. I mean, there's some serious, spelling issues we have here, but we won't talk about that. And also, is it she maybe? Because we're talking about Cruella. Gains invisibility for 2 turns.
Target.
No, it's she. It must be her. She would gain.
No, if the enemy is a defender,
She
the
gains.
the enemy. So it means their tank goes into stealth, so that you can target the other people in the party.
Okay. Well, that's very gender specific, isn't it? Disappointing. Unless all the tanks are blokes. That could be it, actually. That could be why. She's, disappointing.
At the moment.
Yeah. So calls to assist a reflection if he's alive.
Okay.
So we'll go on to reflection. There we go. Create reflection. So summons a reflection of the target enemy hero with 70% health and shields, 70% damage, and 75% speed. Can only summon one reflection at a time.
So
So
depending on who you're targeting, that could be quite useful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking target Salvador, and you gain an extra tank.
Yeah.
Okay, and
Bound by shadows. So at the end of Cruella's turn, if there are 3 allied defenders on the battlefield, all allied defenders gain a tenacity increase for 1 turn. If there are 3 allied healers, all allied healers gain cheat death for 1 turn. If there are 3 allied tacticians, all allied tacticians gain haste for 1 turn. If there are 3 allied warriors, all allied warriors gain counterattack for 1 turn. If there are 3 allied rangers, all allied rangers gain an accuracy increase for 1 turn. There are 3 allied mages, all allied mages get invisibility for 1 turn. So yeah, so an interesting thing for your party to bring 3 of the same type alongside Cruella.
so interestingly, it's not just the standard defender, attacker, tactician. It also goes to the things like the rogues, which is more of a passive faction.
I'm not sure you'd want all healers though, would you? It'd be
That'd be quite a slogfest.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really boring. But yeah, an interesting one. So tactically, something to test out, I think. Yeah,
Yeah, I think there's a lot of theory crafting potential with that ability.
definitely.
Okay, number 2, Snorri. Snorri, not Snorri. This guy.
Laugh at your own joke.
Yeah, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. No shame. Battle Leap deals 250% of physical damage to an enemy. Snorri has a 50% chance to gain accuracy increase for 2 turns. So he's going to make sure he is hitting. Then Deadly Whirlwind. It deals 220% of physical damage to all enemies, inflicts bleeding for 2 turns.
Not too bad.
So another one, bleeding. If you go back to our Pride video, you'll see there's actually quite a lot of others.
And is that bleeding across to all enemies, or is it your target? Maybe it doesn't say, but
Hey, it might be
Must
across
be
all. I
across
believe
all.
it is actually. I've faced him a few times.
pretty good.
Berserk Stance. So Snorri assumes a Berserk Stance, gaining 50% of the turn meter and removing 3 debuffs. While in Berserk Stance, Snorri gains 25% crit chance and 40 speed. This effect cannot be prevented or removed. Using the ability again will cancel Berserk Stance. So something that you need to consider, is it worth doing it more than once in a battle? So the only benefit of doing it twice would be to remove your debuffs. Okay. And then the passive ability. Snorri gains 30% magic armor and 30% tenacity while not in Berserk Stance. That makes sense.
Mhm.
If Friezard is on the battlefield, he receives the same buff.
Ah, interesting synergy there.
So Friezard is another human, which will be coming up shortly.
Right, Little Batty. Hmm.
Wow.
So,
I like the heart in there.
but this is the first female defender, yeah. So they
Oh.
definitely got that thing wrong.
That's
that
true.
text. Yeah, disappointing. So for the Emperor, slightly 40k like there, but for anyone that likes Warhammer, but there you go. So deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy and has an 80% chance to decrease its target's turn meter by 25%. And for a standard one, that's pretty good to try and slow people down. So it's your standard attack, so that's good. So Shield Throw deals 260% of physical damage to an enemy. Also attacks 2 random enemies, dealing 130% of physical damage to them. Dealing damage with this ability removes 1 buff. A Little Batty gains Taunt for 2 turns. So, not too bad. Dealing out damage whilst you're taunting is a good shout. So,
Not bad.
Sunlight deals 190% of physical damage to all enemies. A 30% chance to inflict blindness for 2 turns. That's useful.
I quite like the
I like
blindness debuff.
Yeah, so another character that maybe you should unlock.
Ah, damn it. I do have this one.
Yep. Flawless Defense. Little Batty survives the fatal blow, protecting herself with a shield equal to 30% of her max health. Any effects active on her are removed, so it can be triggered once per battle.
Only once per battle.
Only once. Not bad.
Okay.
So
I suppose it makes
next.
sense though.
Yep.
Right, so Eric Shieldbreaker. Yes, I've got a lot of shards on him.
What a moustache.
That is quite intense.
Is it me or does he look like the guy out of Gears? You know, with the little bandana.
The bandana,
and,
yeah, I
and
see
the
where you're
moustache, I
coming
think, really works as well.
I like the moustache.
Yeah.
So, ability number 1, Puncture. Deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy, plus an extra 80% of physical damage that pierces shields.
Mm.
So, that piercing shields is going to go straight to health. So, overall, you're talking 260% damage, which is pretty standard for a basic attack. Colossus Strike, second ability. Deal 390% as physical
good.
damage to an enemy. This attack deals 30% more damage against shields.
It's a tank killer.
Eric gains damage increase for 2 turns. So at the start of the battle, this is really going to help out, really give you a chance to get the shields down quite quickly, and then grind through the rest of the character. Rousing Cry. Gains debuff immunity and armor increase, and applies both to 4 allies for 2 turns.
Yeah, so over time you get more allies that you gain to that buff. Yeah, cool.
So debuff immunity is going to be really important. There is a lot of teams that focus on burning, poison, bleeding, etc. So having the immunity there is just going to slow them down a bit, which is a great place to be. Heavy Fists. Passive ability. Eric gains a 30% physical damage increase and an additional 5% for each living human in the party. So our first... Is this our first human passive ability? Human beneficial?
Yeah. There's not too many on the old humans.
No, that's
No.
alright.
So far. Another one you could have unlocked several times over. Up to how many stars is that?
I think that's probably 5-star.
Yeah. So, Darian, your first character.
I've actually unlocked.
Yeah. So, he's your defender from the start. So, Hero's Blow, so deals 180% of physical damage to an enemy. Deals 235% of physical damage if the target is an orc. So this guy does not like orcs.
That's going to be an interesting one, considering a lot of people have orcs at the moment. It might actually be worth investing in him, especially as I believe he's got quite a generic leadership.
Yes. So deals a 200. This is Inspiring Blow. So it deals 240% of physical damage to 3 enemies. A 50% chance to apply armor increase to 3 allies for 2 turns. So generally pretty good. But it's random allies, so you can't really choose. But yeah, there you go. So Battle Cry, Taunt, and armor increase for 2 turns, removes 2 debuffs and recovers 25% health. This is why, because it'd be super standard taunts. So it's pretty basic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing too special with that one.
Does the job. So, Reinforcement. Darian gains a 25% physical armor increase by the end of his turn. Darian has a 50% chance to gain dodge for 1 turn. Great for a tank.
So by the end of his turn, does that mean he could randomly gain it throughout the turn? I don't know
No.
at what point.
Strange.
Interesting word.
Yeah. So lots of physical armor, and then this is the commander in chief. So leadership ability. All allies gain 30% physical armor and 30% magic armor. At the end of their turn, ally members of the order have a 50% chance to remove 1 debuff. So
Yeah. So
pretty tanky for the whole team, to be honest.
kind of generic leadership here. One that's definitely worth investing a bit in, is especially if you are looking at fighting some orcs.
Yeah.
Freezard. This guy looks awesome.
Yeah.
I do like that.
Some nice stuff.
Right, so his first ability, Frozen Arrow, deals 230% of magic damage to an enemy and a 75% chance to inflict slow for 2 turns. I feel like that really works with the idea of freezing. Because
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. Frost Breath deals 220% of magic damage to 3 enemies, a 50% chance to inflict armor decrease for 2 turns.
Interesting.
So-
Freezing up the old armor.
Quite similar to a fair number of other abilities we
Yeah.
have seen. I quite like the armor decrease. Right, Blizzard deals 220% of magic damage to all enemies, has a 75% chance to decrease their turn meter by 25%.
So you bring back a whole team by 25%.
So,
Enough to, four turns in, you then got an extra attack. Pretty good.
so I feel like turn meter reduction there is good. Damage is alright, is across every enemy, so
It actually makes a lot of sense because you would slow people down generally, wouldn't you? Because it's cold.
Yeah.
That's
I
good.
really like this kit. I feel like it's been really well designed.
What's that fist? Interesting. Survivor.
So Survivor. This is his passive ability. Freezard survives a fatal blow. Any effects on him are removed. Freezard recovers 25% health. Can be triggered once per battle. If Snorri is on the battlefield, he receives the same buff.
Got to get that Snorri and that Freezard together.
So between them, that's really good and definitely a character you should be looking out for.
Yeah. So, Robin Bad. An interesting character.
I don't know why. I always imagined he had 2 guns. I've only just noticed he doesn't. Anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so Bullseye. So, deals 260% of physical damage to an enemy. This attack cannot be dodged, and a critical hit decreases the target's turn meter by 20%.
So
Too bad, as long as we get those crits up. So, yo mama.
what
the hell? So deals 270% of physical damage to 3 enemies, and Robin Bad has 40% chance to gain a critical chance increase for 2 turns. Great, so that will help you with your first ability.
So I've just noticed so many abilities in this game have exclamation marks at the end.
Yeah. For emphasis. Cunning Fox gains a crit damage increase and applies it to all allies for 2 turns. That's pretty good. And then Robin Bad gains 2 damage increase for 2 turns. Restore 20% of the turn meter to all allies. So it helps get those crits in and speed up the whole team.
Nice.
Excellent.
I quite like the logo on that one.
RB. Yeah.
Feels like a superhero type thing.
It does. You're attacking me? So Robin Bad has a 25% chance to counter-attack enemies, plus 5% for each living human in the party.
Yeah.
So it gives it back as good as it gets.
That counter attack is quite nice.
Yeah.
Especially considering his basic, what was it?
Yeah, I think I might unlock this guy. It's quite good.
Can't be dodged and can decrease turn meter. So someone attacks you, if they've just attacked you, they're not going to have any turn meter anyway.
Yeah.
Soleus, I believe that's how you say it. This guy he was the first legendary character. You'll see I got a few shards on him but didn't manage to get the unlock. Raging Sun deals 210% of magic damage to an enemy, a 20% chance to restore 1 turn of a random ability. If Nightingale is on the battlefield, she is summoned for help.
Ooh, interesting.
So calling another ally to assist on a basic. Not bad.
Yep.
Light Wave. Heal all allies for 550% of Solus's max magic damage. So I believe that's...
Second best healer, possibly.
Second. Though, didn't the other one have a second part to the ability?
Yeah.
It was 600 and it did something else.
Yeah.
So interestingly, this isn't the best version of healing out there.
No.
But thinking about the character overall, he is probably going to be the better one. Amos's Blessing. heals an ally for 40% of their max health, applies armor increase, a tenacity increase, haste, a damage increase, and cheat death for 2 turns. So,
Buffy.
just
buffs.
throwing the buffs out there.
Yeah.
Then we've got Inspiration. When the battle starts, all allied human tanks, again, tanks, not defender, receive armor increase for 3 turns. All allied human healers and tacticians receive cheat death for 3 turns
Is this at the start of the battle? That
when
seems
the battle starts.
But that seems a bit pointless then, because the chances of you actually using that are a bit disappointing.
Yeah. And
Very
all
good.
allied human fighters receive potency for 3 turns.
Spelling mistake.
If Nightingale is on the battlefield, she receives all of these buffs as well.
Oh, you want to get that Nightingale in there. Yeah.
So, Nightingale is an elf, I believe.
Mhm.
So, you will have to switch up between humans and elves, but between them, worth doing. Guardian of the Sun, their leader ability. Allied members of the Order receive a 25% physical damage increase and a 25% magic damage increase. All allied humans receive a 10% counterattack chance. Counterattack chance increase for each living human in the party. All allied elves receive a 5% critical chance increase for each living elf in the party. All pandas receive a 5% potency increase for each living panda in the party.
I don't think you'd go for pandas though, would you? You'd go for humans or elves.
I feel like it's definitely a plug and play character.
Mm.
If you were to put in with Nightingale, you probably want a crit chance from
Yeah, you want to have an elf party.
just
Yeah.
get the elves in there.
Yeah.
And
So
that
back to Cruella.
is that for the humans.
Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you want to see more of these videos, hit the subscribe button and the little notification bell so you see when these videos come out straight away. So yeah, we will see you in the next one.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Drunk Fish Gaming.